I'm thinking of Huberman. I didn't want to like impose that.
Well, we could go into Huberman. I mean, so Andrew Huberman, he's a massive podcaster. Spotify just released its top podcaster followers on followings on their network and on their platform. And Huberman was right up there. He had something like 4 million followers on Spotify alone. Just to put it into perspective, Joe Rogan's was over 13 million. And he was top dog. Huberman was in the 4th or 5th position. Huberman had a hit piece put out on him, which I kind of avoided for most of this week, just because Huberman's not really my bag. I'm not really all that interested in him. I've seen a couple interviews, but I just never really. He's not one of the guys who grabbed me until you brought it up to my attention, and I read it. And you said it was 10,000 pages, 10,000 not pages, but 10,000 words.
Kat Rosenfeld said on Ethan Strauss that it's 10,000 words. She might have been exaggerating.
Yeah. Okay. Somewhere between 5 and 10,000 words. It's a very long piece. And I don't understand how the hell this was written. This is a relationship that went sour. It looks like he did cheat on his girlfriend, who he talked about having a family with. And beyond that, I don't understand the rationale for it being put forth in New York Magazine.
Well, see, I do. I understand what the people who decided to do this are thinking, because they're trying to preserve this established code that the personal belongs to the public, and that anyone's personal infractions can be used against them in the court of public opinion. They've weaponized the court of public opinion, and that's one of the things these people are not letting go. I didn't finish the piece because I thought it was whiny. No, let me just say for the record, I don't like Andrew Huberman at all. I find him very unappetizing. I literally, whenever I see his face, click away so I don't have to hear him talk. So there's two things going on here for me. On the one hand, I find it kind of delightful and delicious that this person who positions himself as like a optimize your neurology kind of guru proves to be fucking human and fucking up in his personal life, because I find figures like that revolting, and I think that the investment that people make in them is really unhealthy. Kind of like Jordan Peterson, like, clean your room. It's like, well, why don't you get over your fucking benzo addiction first before you start telling people to clean their room? Okay, buddy? Do you clean your shit up first and then come back to us and start talking to people like you're everyone's dad? Because you're not. Deal with that shit. Deal with your own parenting and your own fucking house in order, literally and figuratively. Similarly with the public, why are you looking for parental figures in podcasters? Like, why are you looking? Like, I'm sure Huberman gives good advice. That's great. But even guys like Steven Pinker, who doesn't position himself quite with the same, oh, I know everything kind of. And it's like the whole like archetype of the pop scientist, I just find sickening. And then the pop scientist as guru, fuck that. So that's satisfying for me on the one hand, but then you've got this author of this piece in New York who's clearly coming at this from like, we're still in the days of Me Too, where, where
Carrie Hawley.
Yes, thank you. That's, I was just looking her up. Where, oh my goodness, I bought into this podcaster and I was really into him. And then I started doing a story on him and I discovered all these things that I'm uncomfortable with. And because I haven't resolved my own relationship with my parents, I'm not saying that's necessarily the case for her, but that's how these people come across. Like, oh my goodness, Andrew Huberman has a secret double life. And it's like there's this incredible disappointment. It's like, well, why were you this invested in somebody else to begin with? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, can you not separate someone's public persona from their private actions and understand they don't owe you purity? Fuck that. Like let's blow that idea up. So I find this to be a holdover of a very childish, infantile mindset that, in particular, white women in media positions of authority, you're going to have to pry it from their proverbial cold dead hands. That's what they're saying. Like, you're not taking this away from me. We want the right to sort of besmirch anybody. And Huberman seems whatever. If you're juggling 6 women and you're not telling them, okay, that's douchey, so the fuck what? That's not my business. I don't give a fuck. And also, don't women who follow a dude like this sense that he has options? Don't they know? Yes, they do. They have instincts. They know that, like, or are they thinking, oh well, I know he's this big game catch of a mate, but I'm gonna make him loyal to me. And is that maybe what we should be looking at instead of, oh, douchey, man in position of power is so terrible and fuck, who cares?
There's a few different threads I want to pull on.
Of course.
You said, why are we looking for parental figures in podcasting? Which is fascinating. I think we could spend like 6 hours talking about that alone.
Sure.
I think we are looking for parental figures, period. I could see that in the treatment of Joe Biden. I see that in the treatment of Donald Trump. I saw that with Barack Obama, the whole great man in history that's going to show up and save the day theory. It's a very I don't think it's strictly American, but it's incredibly American. We see this. I think in podcasting it happens a lot because you are spending this intimate time with this person. I used to work at USA Today, and I hosted this show that was called 5 Things. It's now called The Excerpt. And when I would hear from our listeners, and I still hear from them to this day, they remember stray pieces of things that I said offhandedly. They felt like they were my friend. They felt like they were a part of my life, and I was a part of their life because I was. They spent hours upon hours with me, more than they do with their friends or family. Because if you look at some of that recent data that's come out, we spend, especially as we get older, in 30s and on, we spend less time with friends. We spend less time with even our kids. It's us usually working, and increasingly us working with headphones on. And we're listening to somebody. And I think that's why a guy like Huberman, that's why Jordan Peterson, that's why, Ben Shapiro, you could go on and on and on. And it's not just folks on the right, it's people across the board. That's why the people love the smartless guys, so they dig them because they're spending time with them, just like the people who are spending time with us right now. They want it. They feel like they have an idea of who we are because, as I create something, as you create something, we're sharing a piece of our skin with them. And I think that's why. That's one reason why. I think also we're in this period in terms of parental figures in media where the world feels unstable, incredibly so. And every day, or every week, at the same time, you are hearing from the same person. It's this consistency. It's this thing. It's this power of media. And this is why the media scheduling thing is freaking brilliant, because and as your life is increasingly unstable, as you're going through your shit, as your kid is yelling at you, you're fighting with your spouse, you hate your boss, your car might break down, but you got this consistent voice that shows up at the same time, same place, all the time. And I think that's one reason why, in an increasingly unstable personal world, plus we look at this financial taxing. Also, I think in a case like Huberman, part of it is the health aspect of it. Our health increasingly sucks as Americans. Like, we get little for our health care. We pay more for it, but it's not working. It's not working for us. And because it's not working for us, we're looking for people who have answers. And it's like the same thing you would hear from cult leaders back in the day. Same thing you hear from politicians. You see this even like people like Goop and Gwyneth Paltrow, and you go on through the ages. People who claim they have an answer for a problem that a bunch of people are having, and they can offer it consistently. They're able to develop a flock. So I think it's a combination of that. And I could go on for 8 hours on this, as you know, but that's what came to mind with that question. I have other pieces I'd love to pull out, but if you'd like to respond to that.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I understand, and I'm attempting to send you a meme that I think speaks to this.
Yeah,
to this.
you email me.
I'm gonna send it to you in the chat. Do you want me to?
Yeah, email me.
Okay.
Oh, you gotta put it in the chat.
Yeah, I can just put it in the chat.
Okay. Private chat,
because it speaks perfectly to what you're describing. Will that automatically send like that, or do I have to like fuck?
Yeah, hit the arrow in the thing.
Yeah, it's not even loading in the.
Well, send me an email. But
Yeah. I mean, that's all good and fine. I actually just wrote a piece titled "A New Way to Look at Left and Right." This is also on my Substack. Everyone's just looking for their parents.
Yes, we are.
It's a long-held theory that I've had that what we see from both conservatives and progressives, generally speaking, sort of tracks to these two big, what I just describe as like ink splotches or watercolor splotches, where you can make this generalization that progressives largely, and I'm an exception to this, but progressives have, by and large, if you're making huge sweeping generalizations, have grown up in like overly permissive homes that are defined by lenient mom energy. And so
what mom energy?
Lenient mom
energy. Okay.
And again, I'm somewhat of an exception to this, but so there's lots of people that are like, no, that's not me. I'm a progressive, blah, 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 blah. But where we are in the culture as like a useful archetype to start with, progressives, they want freedom. They want permissiveness from social rules, but they will run to government to act as their parents, which is a paradox, right? There's a contradiction there between those two impulses. Like, no, I want freedom. I want to have sex. I want to have, be able to have abortions. I don't want your fucking religion dragging me down, blah, blah, blah. I don't need all this shit. But the moment the government says, I will step in and be your parent. So Masumi sent me that.
Yeah. For those of you not watching, well, we're looking at a meme that says how it feels to listen to podcasts.
Oh my God.
And what you have is a skaterish girl sitting with her legs crossed, Indian style, as we used to call it back in the day, next to a poster with 3 girls.
Well, she's eating ice cream. I thought it was a boy, by the way, but
Is that a
whoever
boy?
it is, this kid is eating ice cream, just so satisfied, laughing next to a poster of 3 girls eating ice cream, and like feels like, you know, the skater kid feels like they're part of the scene, and they're obviously not, because that's 2-dimensional. Masumi sent me that after her boyfriend was telling me exactly what you were saying. Her partner Angelo, shout out to both of them.
Yeah,
he was like talking about how, he was like talking. Masumi's awesome. He was talking about how, you know, I listen to Bill Burr, and when you listen to podcasts on a regular basis, it's like they become a part of your life. Exactly what you were saying. They become a part of your day. These people, their presence. But I think we have to be careful not to look. Just sort out your shit with your feelings towards your own parents. Don't look to other people to be this for you, or you're going to get in trouble. And the tone of the New Yorker, or the New York article was like, wow, I was doing his, and I was really into his podcast, and it made a difference for me. And then I discovered this thing. And Sagar and Getty pointed out that he's got emails showing that she initially approached Huberman talking about how she wanted to write a glowing profile on him, and then that turned into dirt digging, basically through his personal trash to find shit. And then all these women started talking to each other, and whenever that happens, you get this amplification effect. And so anyway, my theory on the political divide in the USA currently is people who lean left or identify as progressive largely have grown up in permissive homes without a lot of rules, without too much structure. They're given a lot of autonomy, and they have moms who are very lenient. I talk about this a lot, how moms in modern moms need to get back in touch with their throat chakra and fucking get back in touch with their mom's superpower to say no. Parents are terrified of telling their fucking kids no, and it drives me crazy. So people who lean left are craving this permissiveness from social rules, but they're unconsciously craving a parent who's actually doesn't neglect them, where they don't feel neglected, where they feel a more firm presence. So they seek that in government. And that's a paradox that's not resolved. Conversely, conservatives, if we're going to be stereotyping, harsh dad energy at home. They want, and they project that onto government. They're like, no, I don't want government telling me freedom, 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 freedom. But they're the first to dive in with both feet when religion or social rules dictate the way you're supposed to be. Oh, now we're all about that shit, right? Another paradox, because daddy was too harsh, right? So they want to they crave something that's sort of like, they react to the thing they don't like, but then crave something else unconsciously that is directly oppositional to that thing. And so this is why we have these two tribes that are fucking at each other's throats and projecting so much onto each other, because they just need to like sort out what they feel towards their own parents. Millions of people will raise their hand and say, that's not me. That's not my family background, blah, blah, blah. I am an exception to that. But I think as a general starting point, there's something there. So when the next time you see these two people, blah, 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 or somebody opposing you, Just understand they're not reacting to you. They have this craving to sort of resolve something that's unresolved.
Interesting. I would not have taken it there. Did not see the split on the conservative liberal mom versus dad. That sounds vaguely Jungian and almost Jordan Peterson-esque of you.